Today I want to talk about what Paul refers to as a mystery, the mystery of the Gentiles. And I'm just going to talk about one aspect of this. It's a great theological construct that he spends a lot of time on. And I'm going to take one angle on that today. So turn with me to Romans chapter 11. I want to read verses 25 and 26. Paul says this, "I do not want you, brethren, to be uninformed of this mystery, so that you will not be wise in your own estimation, that a partial hardening has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles has come in, and so all Israel will be saved." Now those two verses, there's just so much in them, and the impact is high. It's just almost revolutionary. So let's unpack it. Verse 25, Paul says, "I do not want you, brethren, to be uninformed of this mystery." The point that Paul's saying is that this whole idea of the Gentiles being included in Israel, the inclusion of the Gentiles, that which was promised to Abraham, that's a mystery. That's not clearly understood. People didn't know how that would take place. There was a lot of presumptions concerning that, but no one really knew how that would take place. But in Paul's ministry, it's happening. The Gentiles are coming in. And Paul says they get to come into greater Israel. They get to come into the commonwealth of Israel and walk in this great way of life, this redemption with this new way of life that's in accordance with the Torah. They get to do that as Gentiles. That was not understood broadly. And so as a result, Paul says, well, it's a mystery. It's not understood. But he's the apostle that begins to explain it. And so concerning the influx, the inclusion of the Gentiles, he goes on to say, a partial hardening has happened to Israel. The first point that I want to make is that it's only a partial hardening. Not all of Israel was hardened. Not all of Israel stumbled. There was a strong remnant within Israel that did believe who Jesus was, embraced him as the Messiah, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And so only a partial hardening has happened to Israel. There's a beautiful part of Israel represented in the Messianic Jews that exists today in a powerful way. And it goes on to say a partial hardening has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles has come in. And this word until, that tells us that not only is it a partial hardening, it's temporary. It's a temporary hardening. It's not forever. It's going to come and go. And so there's a partial hardening. It's temporary until the fullness of the Gentiles has come in. Once the fullness of the Gentiles has come in, then all Israel is going to be saved. And so there's this temporary hardening that's come to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles come in. The big question is what does that mean? What does it mean that the fullness of the Gentiles will come in? Come into what? What is that a reference to? Coming to what? Do you realize that preceding this in the immediate context of this these couple verses, Paul has laid out the analogy of the olive tree of Israel, and that the Gentiles are wild olive branches that are being grafted into the olive tree. So when Paul says, until the fullness of the Gentiles has come in, it's probably a reference to coming into the olive tree of Israel. That means until the Gentiles identify with Israel and as Israel, being participants with Israel in this plan of redemption, walking together with believing Jews hand in hand in the commandments of God, that until that happens, Israel is not going to be turned to Messiah. But as Gentiles connect with Israel and learn to love Israel, and begin to walk in the ways of Israel, as God gave to her initially, to the Jew first and then to the Gentile, then Israel's going to turn to Messiah, and thus all Israel will be saved. So the big question for you is this: have you connected with the roots of your faith, those Jewish roots of your faith, that olive tree of Israel? Isn't it time? I want to encourage you. Join a Messianic group. Find a Messianic group and join it. Connect with believing Israel. She is our mother. She is your mother. Isn't it time to come home? If you separate yourself from the olive tree of Israel, you will always struggle and be confused in your faith. It's time to come home. Come home to the olive tree of Israel. She awaits your participation. She will never be all that she can be without your participation. So thanks for joining me today, and please subscribe to this channel, comment below, and if you have a chance, check us out at www.graftedin.com.